And now for the main event for mobile video. Let me go ahead and introduce my good friend Claude Lama Solet. Claude is going to be our moderator tonight. So I've been working with Claude for the last several years here. Claude's also former Cisco, headed up a several hundred people organization building out the software that runs on set-top boxes. Claude's got a pretty deep resume of working with startups. I know a little bit with Wahoo Fitness and other online video and OTT video solutions in the past. So Claude, please take it away.
Thank you. So let me introduce myself. I'm Claude Lama Solet. I'm French, so if you have a problem with my accent, don't hesitate. You ask me questions again. I moved to the US 17 years ago, and I was already doing video. So I've been in this business for now 20 years. I've seen the world from analog, digital, HD, 4K, VR, and now mobile video. So it's kind of amazing. It's in 20 years we've seen so much change. Worked with Chris for now it's 3 years. We're in a company called Pure Integration. We're doing anything that deals with ITSM and video. Our biggest customers are Comcast, Cox, Charter. We are embedded into those companies for many years. We excel in doing anything that deals with operations, integration, or development of video applications. Let me introduce you to our other panelist, Greg. Let's start with Greg. Yes.
Good evening, guys. Greg Mize, Senior Director of Digital for the Atlanta Braves. So in my role over all digital elements, mobile, app, web, social, and excited to be here tonight to talk about mobile video. Obviously, sports is a highly visual medium, and the access that mobile video provides for a sports fan is really significant. As we look to connect with fans wherever and whenever they are. So excited to talk about that tonight. Also some other enhancements that are happening. I think we're extremely high on AR and that layer of engagement that could be layered on top of video to really tell a little bit of a deeper story as to what's happening on the field. So excited to be here and look forward to a good conversation.
Peter Chau.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Thanks for joining us. My name is Peter Chau. I'm a senior product manager for the Weather Channel. I pretty much product manage the mobile team, and so I know you all have issues with our app, you come to me after this and let me know what those issues are. Part of what I've done in the past, and I guess why I'm here, is I was spearheading the video efforts, pretty much the transition from traditional media into digital media. I was on a team that pretty much turned our video audience from 1 million users, video users per month, to 25 million users per month this year. And so really excited to talk. A lot of stuff on the horizon, things like AR, live TV, machine learning, AI, all that good stuff. Thanks for having me.
Hi, everybody. I'm Louis Gump. I'm going to Peter just to tell him how much I like his app. I was just using it. It looks like there's a big splotch of red coming right over us, so if we see the rain coming down, we'll know what's going on. For me, this is like old home week. I was looking at the invitation list. We got the Weather Channel, where I had the chance to work with a very talented team to build the mobile business there. CNN, where we had a chance to build with a very talented team. Wireless Technology Forum, which has been a bedrock of our technology community, even before kind of getting a bunch of people together to talk about important things was totally cool. So I'm really privileged to be here tonight. I'm CEO of a company called NewsOn. The vision of NewsOn is to provide instant access to local news for everyone. And that's it. It's really simple, to provide instant access to local news for everyone. The way we do that is by, just imagine if you have a phone or an OTT device like Roku or a desktop web computer, and you said, hey, I want to see a local news broadcast from a whole bunch of TV stations around the U.S. Press that button and you can instantly get that live broadcast, or if it's not convenient to watch it live, then you can get that broadcast on demand for up to 48 hours afterwards. So that's what we do. You can do it with WSB on our app here in town, but also another 177 TV stations around the U.S. And tonight, one of the things that I really want to emphasize is there's this, this ongoing debate within our mobile and digital and general community about, well, is mobile so big now? Is it so pervasive that you don't even treat it differently? It's just in the mix. And while there's plenty of room for discussion on this, my answer to that question is absolutely not. We're nowhere near the maturity for that. Mobile is a horizontal layer. However, on the other hand, companies with mobile experts who know what the heck they're doing, know how to meet the needs of their audience, can do a great job for the mobile audience, but also enhance the brand across platforms.
James?
Good evening, everybody. My name is James Prolizo. I head up the technology team for CNN Digital and their apps platform. So if you guys have the CNN app, and since you live in Atlanta, you should have the CNN app, regardless of political view. It's a good app. Okay. Stones can be thrown. It's okay. I can handle it. I'm a big boy. I did wear my cool socks. So anyway, no. So I head up from a mobile perspective as well as from a television perspective, right? And so if anybody has a streaming media device at the house, something along the lines of like the Rokus and Apple TVs, if you do utilize CNN Go, that's under my purview as well. I'm excited to talk to you guys tonight about where CNN is when it comes to video. It's news and video kind of go together. No, I will not talk about political beliefs tonight with whatsoever. And I do expect at least one fake news comment. I hope somebody is going to do it. I sure hope so. So I'm excited about it, just being able to talk to you guys about everything that CNN is kind of transforming and really rethinking the news, and especially when it comes to video. So thanks for having me tonight. Appreciate it. And last but not least, Steve.
Hi, I'm Steve Benfield. Probably the most recognized company on the list, these small brands over here. I'm president of OnQ, and essentially what we're trying to do is allow organizations to take video, other content, and add interactivity and conversation to it so that people consuming it not only engage with the content deeper, but with each other. And from that kind of more authentic engagement, we can find things like sentiment, positive, negative feelings, confusion, frustration, and overall a deeper understanding of, are they getting it? So, to me, it's going to be interesting, talking about, is mobile just so pervasive that it's it? But everyone's trying to figure out how do we get more engagement, right? We're also interested not only engagement but understanding, right? So that's my angle. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have a question. I have a question for the audience. Do you know how many iPhones have been sold over the last 10 years? A billion. A billion. How many people on Earth? 7. So means already 20% of the population, more or less, has an iPhone. So let's.
I have 8 over my life, so
So we see how things have changed. We see how important mobile has become, but it's not only mobile. I believe that what is also interesting is to see how video has changed, how our habits of consumption have changed. And so I'm asking all of you, what has been the impact on your companies and how you managed to change or adapt to this shift from traditional TV, where everyone was watching on a couch, and now we're basically spending our time, and who doesn't have a cell phone here, and watching the video while we're streaming it?
Yeah, I guess I'll start. So the Weather Channel, as you all know, we've been around for 30 plus years, before I was born. And everything was... Exactly, exactly. And we were very web-based when we started out. And you know, right around the time when the Samsung S5 and the iPhone 6 came out, that's when we started seeing the inflection point, when people just started to use the camera, to start consuming through the mobile phone. When I don't know if you remember Hurricane Sandy, but Hurricane Sandy was a big hurricane a few years back. We had about 100 million video views back then. This was like 3 years ago. Hurricane Matthew happened last October, and we were able to garner 350 million video views just from a digital platform perspective. But then comes the challenge of, and I'm sure James and everyone else here will talk about it, but like speed and performance is like the cupcake. The wedding cake is all about personalization and machine learning. And in a period where information is just so prevalent and so easy to consume, relevance and timeliness is the currency. And the way that we're kind of faced with that challenge is it's all through machine learning. It's all through data collection. That's kind of on the back end of what people don't see, what users don't see. And it's pretty much we need to get to a point where we can be contextual with the right storytelling at the right time, which is one of the biggest battles that we face. And I know James is probably. You want that one?
I mean, I guess so. Yeah, so video consumption has changed a lot, right? So we live in a world it's really an interesting time frame in which, when it comes to live events, we set records almost on a weekly basis, right? It's amazing. And so we set a record for the most number of concurrent live streams when it came to the Super Bowl, right? And we thought that was amazing and incredible. And then the election happened. And that just took that record and threw it to shreds. And so, you know, like CNN now has that record for the most number of live streams during the election. And we had new Super Bowls like we did last week, right, between Comey and the UK elections. So people are addicted to video, and it's an everyday occurrence, and we're really interested in that. But they do need, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. We all want video and an experience that is ours. It's not really about news in our world, or even in the world of Weather Channel or anything of that nature. It's not about being able to get into the notion of being able to say, well, I want all the news. Give me all the news, right? Those days are kind of over. People want their news. And it's interesting is they also don't want, the world of personalization has gone through a really interesting road. You know, 3 years ago it was all about the My. Everybody thought the My brand was like the coolest thing since sliced bread. CNN did it too, right? My CNN. Oh, how cool. It's my CNN. It doesn't do shit. But full transparency, I have no filter. If I offend you, I apologize later, and I'll buy you a beer. So, and we'll be good afterwards. So, but no, the whole concept around My is kind of dead. You know, you fast forward to today, and it just should be that's the CNN app, right? And you have the CNN app, but it's really the news that I want on the CNN app, or even in the Weather Channel play. So, personalization is going to be a massive, massive piece for where we are for the next couple of years, to really kind of make a big statement there, right? It should be something that it is specific to you.
All right, so I'd like to tie together comments from all three of the previous speakers, from Claude to Peter to James. Claude referred to the launch of the iPhone, which was in 2007. One of the things that isn't all that well appreciated is that the App Store didn't launch until 2008. And at that time, a bunch of us, including the person that Peter reports to, Robin, who's awesome, and I were working at the Weather Channel, and we had a decision to make. iPhone App Store is launching. But on the other hand, Android is coming along. We don't have the resources to do them all. What the heck are we going to do with this? And what we ended up deciding is both of them were so important that we built them both, one in-source and one outsource, which goes back to, wireless technology forum and kind of decisions about how you build stuff. And the net effect was that we had a tremendous impact on the marketplace. But what happened with video, mobile video at that time, is that up to that time you had services from Verizon like Vcash, you had AT&T Video, you had Mobi TV and other things, and they were all available through the deck. Somebody before the session mentioned the decks. And what happened with the iPhone and along that time with Android is that it crushed the deck. The deck increasingly became irrelevant. The services that had been provided through the deck became irrelevant because there was more choice. And in a way, that's a natural transition to what we're seeing now with personalization. The second thing that I want to mention is the change in news consumption over the last 4 years. In 2013, 54% of adults in the United States consumed news on a mobile device. In a study that was recently done, it's now up to 85% of adults ever, at some point, not necessarily monthly, but enough they can measure it, consuming news on a mobile device. That's from 54% to 85%. And what that means is that we have virtually all adults who have any interest in news at all. That has profound implications for video as well, which right now is about 2% of video usage in the US, but it's going to go up. And so that's what we're seeing in the news slice of the world.
Yeah, well, for us, mobile video and video in general is the reason we exist. So we haven't done anything over the last 10 years except start a company about a year and a half ago. But essentially, what prompted it is we grew out of a company that had video content and distributed it out to whatever organizations were using it, and they wanted an online experience. But the online experience that people had didn't come anywhere close to when they talked to each other and went over the video in whatever groups of 10, 20, 50 that were going through this. And so essentially, we looked at all sorts of platforms, and we decided we could do something better, and our company grew from that. And so, so for us, we focus more on organizations and enterprise, not consumer space, but the desire for people to have some authentic connection with other people around content is really kind of at the core of what we do. And I think, you guys have obviously done some parallels in the same thing as well. So it's not just the content, it's kind of the human experience around it that we all crave as well.
Right?
So sports is unique. We look at it kind of in two realms as it relates to video. You've got live and non-live. Live being the game, and that is probably the last bastion of appointment video watching, right? Because it's happening, you don't want to miss it, and really what mobile has enabled is a couple of innovations that pushes. One, technology and connectivity. Being able to successfully stream a live event is important. So we've got that, and then the idea of access and convenience. So looking back, a big game was on. You'd have to rush home to get to your couch and watch the game. But now with mobile, that access can be whenever, wherever. And that's one of the driving points as to how fans are consuming live events through mobile. And really, while you're seeing a disruption that's happening right now in the marketplace as it relates to live video rights in sports, and is only going to really be flipped on its head in the early 2020s when a lot of these current media deals expire. You're seeing digital native companies like Amazon and their NFL deal, Twitter and Facebook both have MLB deals right now, and NHL. And so, it's really interesting because, I think we're getting this convergence of, okay, so we've got the devices and the platforms to deliver live video, and now that's being combined with these digital native organizations that are now going to, in essence, be the rights holder. So that shift is happening, and it's only going to continue to evolve over time.
Thank
Yeah, and I think one last part, sorry, sorry, Claude, I'm going to interrupt a lot, just so you know. I know, you were pre-warned, and I'm sorry, but like, so do any of you guys, kind of quick survey, I guess, for all of you. So this is the audience participation part of today's presentation. So how many of you guys deal with video on a day-to-day basis? Like you have to either handle live stream and all that? It's kind of a pain, right? Yeah, so it's like there's my guy in the back. Yes, yeah, yes it is. It is, it's an absolute pain to handle, and so one of the things that is very exciting though, because even though it is a little bit of a pain to handle, for WWDC, hopefully you guys got a chance to actually see all the stuff that came out at WWDC, but one of the really exciting parts of it was Apple's real big push towards H.265, right? And being able to bring that to the table now. That changes a lot and helps us when it comes to dealing with having to do a video. I met with Apple while I was out there, and I'll tell you guys, video means a lot to them. Like a lot to them. So they are really heavy on it right now. So expect that this is just the beginning as to where we are when we're going on this journey.
So you all touched based on something that is interesting. You all talked about how everything is on permanently. It's 24/7. It's live. It's always at the moment when you consume things. So what are your challenges that you're facing in making sure you keep your audience interested? I think these two of you, three of you have touched. And last question, what are the video technologies you believe will improve your customer experience?
I'll go on this one. So there's two sides to the equation, challenges that we face and we will face. The first one is the operational challenge. The second one is the retention challenge. The operational challenge is in order to create a positive video experience, you need to have buy-in from your leadership, different stakeholders in the organization. You need a sales team to be able to monetize. You need great developers, great QA people to fit that mold. And on the Android side, we're available on 2,000 devices. On iOS, there's 8. And so the QA process and making sure that, as Steve said, the experience is, the best experience for that particular user. That's one of the biggest challenges. Is figuring out adaptive bit rate. There's a lot of developing countries that don't have 4G yet. Is our experience different on data connection versus Wi-Fi? There's a lot of things that go into the operation aspect of it. The other thing for us in news and weather is unpredictable, right? And so
I was told that weather is.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know.
Yeah, that's right. Us and baseball players are the only profession that we can be right 40% of the time. Anyway. Sorry, a little baseball joke. But it's. I don't think you know that. Well, that was your strikeout?
That was you.
And so, severe storytelling is probably our bread and butter. It's what makes the Weather Channel. And just figuring out the right technology to capture the users and knowing, what users' behavioral and historical usage patterns are. That's what's going to be the next challenge for us. And tying this back into personalization. There was, and the reason why personalization is so important is like every case study that you have read, 30% of Amazon revenue comes from suggested products, and 80% plus of Netflix watches are from recommendations. I don't know if you guys know Mary Meeker, but she's this venture capitalist in Silicon Valley. She comes out with this digital trending report, and it was 355 pages, so that's what I do on the weekends, is read 355-page presentations. And there was one slide that talked about Spotify, and when they released Discover, the average user listened to 30 artists. When they released Discover and personalized that experience for users, I think the number was 42 artists per month after they launched that personalization. So there was a 33% increase in engagement for Spotify. And so Weather Channel has kind of, we're kind of in year one right now with our personalization strategy. And a lot of stuff that we're doing now is like, you know, if you're a mom that lives in the Midwest, we can target that moms in the Midwest are more likely to watch cat videos than tornado videos. And we can serve those moms as many cat videos as we want. We've actually seen triple-digit percentage increases from this engagement strategy. Sorry, quick anecdote. So during Hurricane Matthew, the highest single video viewership was this amazing footage of Hurricane Matthew, and it generated maybe 4 million video views. You want to know what our top video view was, or what our top video was? It was a dog dressed up as a panda, and it generated 96 million video views, which has nothing to do with weather, but it kept people in our app engaged. So those are pretty much our challenges: is right time, right place, right context. Right dog.
Louis.
Well, for NewsOn, we have a basic technical challenge, which is to work with 14 different TV station groups that own over 170 TV stations. They use platforms including Envato and Livestream and Uplink. They have different ad technologies, and we have to come up with a common technology base so that we can deliver the same fast, on-demand experience for all of them. So that's the starting place, and we make pretty good headway with that. I agree with the point related to personalization as a place where a bunch of us should go to. I want to bring up, however, another area, at least in our case, because right now the 30-minute newscast, which is produced in a lot of different types of content, it just so happens that local TV is one of them. That is something that's been learned over time, and we should not just diss it as yesterday's content. There's a lot to be said for it that's good. But on the other hand, it's not equally good in all situations. It's not equally good on platforms. For example, a mobile app versus the mobile web versus the desktop web versus an OTT device versus just going down the list. The second thing is that it's different in a breaking news situation versus a day-to-day recap. You mentioned Hurricane Matthew. In NewsOn, we had 14 TV stations in the path of the storm. And what people could do in our case when that storm came along is you could go from place to place to place. Most of them were in wall-to-wall coverage, and we got tremendous viewing. However, on a day-to-day basis, most people aren't going to watch a 30-minute newscast on a phone. They will on an OTT device, which, by the way, looks a lot like mobile did 5 or 7 years ago. So for anybody here who's kind of got their eye on OTT, even though we're talking about mobile today, think about OTT. But on the other hand, with local news, I think one of our challenges and one of our needs is to think differently about a broadcast that is not only shorter, but also composed differently so that it is directed towards users on that platform.
Steve, actually, let's go from the consumer world into a bit of the corporate.
But we're fortunate in that we don't actually have to produce and distribute the video, right? Because we sit on top of whatever video streams are coming in for our various customers, whether they have an enterprise video platform. For our smaller customers, yeah, we can stream it. We rely on Amazon. But from the technical perspective, we're able to do things now in the browser we couldn't do 3 years ago. So 3 years ago, we would have had to create a standalone app to do the things we want to do. And the standardization of the delivery through the browser is obviously, to me, the biggest technical piece that affects us because it allows us to do what we need to do very easily without people having to download apps on their desktop. We still have, obviously, mobile apps to do things because they're still a little bit behind the rapid coming up. So to me, from our perspective, what we're trying to do, the better browsers can get at handling media and delivery of it is good for us. And we trust the rest of you to make sure that the video gets to the rest of you.
I have another question for you. So, 20 years ago, developing interactive apps for set-top boxes. I was told 20 years ago that's the revolution. Still waiting 20 years later. So, what do you think mobile is going to change and how it's going to impact users? How can we integrate interactivity to the videos?
So you mean with the set-top boxes or just in general?
In general, I believe that when you look at what we're doing in set-top boxes, it's an application. And on mobile, it's the same story. So how are we changing things? How are we making it more interesting for customers?
So the videos that we deal with tend to have a longer shelf life than consumer-oriented videos, right? Because once the storm's over, the storm's over. I'm not going to go watch coverage of the storm a week later unless I'm really just a storm junkie, right? Or the news, right? I'm not going to go watch Comey's testimony from 2 weeks ago unless I have a specific interest because God knows what's happened this week. So, so for us, our users have the luxury of being able to think about their content and what goes in the video, what interactive elements they want. So being able to inject interactive elements, I want a question to show up here, I want a discussion here. We have the luxury of being able to do that either by the creator of the content or the people facilitating the content that may not have created it, right? So at any point in the path of delivery to the end user, we have the ability to inject things into it. And at this point, it's humans doing the interjection, but on a larger scale, with machine learning and being able to, you can see analyzing a game video in real time and injecting things because of what's going in the video stream and things like that. To me, those are some of the more exciting types of technologies in the consumer space. They can add to the personalization of what's going on inside the video.
Great. You have one of the best statements.
Agreed and thank you, guys.
Hey, I heard that you put together one of a kind video experience with industry. Can you talk about it? Can you describe it? What have changed compared to what people were doing in the past, what they just go to the game and that was it.
Yeah, I think the foundation for everything that we're talking about is connectivity. So, largest Wi-Fi capacity in any North American sporting venue, just right down the street at SunTrust Park. And what we're seeing is phenomenal usage from our fans, and we're actually seeing greater upload usage than what they're pulling down. So, what that's telling us is, our fans are our content creators, and like all of you, when you go to a sporting event or any live event, a lot of times your phone is your companion. You're looking to capture that moment, to share that moment, and that's truly what we're seeing is we've now enabled that sharing. If you look at just the slew of social platforms out there, even Snapchat, who fancies themselves as a camera company, not even a social network, and a camera is inherent to capturing video. So really allowing fans the flexibility to consume the game on their mobile device the way that they want. Some fans want to keep their phone in their pocket for the game. That's great. Other fans are using it to, whether it's communicate with friends or keep up on social, and obviously to share content. So because of the connectivity, we're really seeing huge spikes in usage because it's really in line with how people consume live events nowadays.
I'd like to come back to something that Peter said at the beginning of this discussion. We've seen the evolution from standard, whether it was on TV video or consuming over web. Do you all have numbers of where do you stand today in regards to mobile video consumption versus standard web or TV-based consumption? James, do you want to start?
Yeah, so I think, well, I'm going to be the outlier here, I think. So a large portion of our consumption is still linear to this day, but it's not the direction that we want to go. If you listen to our CEO, Jeff Zucker, who is fondly known as Jay-Z in the walls of CNN, it gets really confusing when Jay-Z, the real Jay-Z, swings by the office, but it's really awkward there. But when Jeff talks a lot about flipping over to CNN Digital and getting people off of linear, it's a big push, right? Today we're very backwards, and it's kind of crazy. You'll probably hear a lot of guys up here will talk about that. Hey, we're 80% mobile and we're 70% mobile. We're not. We are still very heavily linear. So from an apps perspective, both mobile apps as well as television apps, we're maybe right at 20% of traffic. Oh, I know. The jaw's dropping. I did that too when I first started. So we're rapidly trying to flip that. Mobile web is a big play today as well, but certainly we want the app experience to be where we drive a lot of people to. So it's a big flip for us. It's a big challenge for us as that we move forward, especially in the personalization play, is being able to take that number and really flip it on side of its head. And we have a really short period to do that. And so there's not really much room for error when it comes into this, and no real wiggle room. So it's kind of a fun challenge to be able to try to tackle this right now.
I brought some stats from Q4 of last year about cross-platform video viewing according to Nielsen. And according to Nielsen, during that time frame, on TVs, 82% of viewing in the United States was on a traditional TV via traditional service, or 509 billion minutes. A lot of minutes. And then next was connected TVs. This one is striking for those of us who, you think of Netflix as a separate thing from viewing, or you think of OTT experience on Roku or Amazon Fire or Apple TV, but this is going to grow, but it's already at 10% at 63 billion minutes for a total of 92% still on a TV somehow. So we got to keep this in perspective, and then the remaining 8% of that, 5 percentage points are on PCs, 2% are on smartphones, and a little less than 1% on tablets. That's the way it breaks down among the 8%. That's going to change by a lot. In the case of NewsOn, what we see is when there's breaking news, we see a much higher percentage, especially when we can alert. The alerts, carefully curated, are very, very powerful. But on an average day, across our mobile, web, and OTT platforms, over 90% of our viewing minutes are actually on our one connected TV platform, Roku, where we're now number 5 in the news and weather category. The only companies ahead of us in news and weather today, and we've only been in the marketplace for a year and a half, the only companies ahead of us are CBS, AOL, ABC, and NBC, and everybody else is somewhere in a different place. But a lot of companies are going to face there. So once again, what I want to emphasize here is not mobile as less important, but rather mobile as part of the whole cross-platform mix.
Yeah, so 3 years ago, when I was starting on the mobile team at the Weather Channel, we were at about 70-30 web to mobile. And as the devices started expanding in RAM size and gigabit rates, that's when we started to see those usage patterns flip. Actually, today we're at about 70-30 mobile to desktop. But to echo what Lewis said, it's desktop isn't going away. Like, desktop is a huge part of our portfolio. If you look at the usage patterns, from 7 to 11 a.m., it's pretty much dominated by mobile. From 11 to whenever work ends, it's pretty much dominated by desktop because most people are at work. And when people get home, it's all TV and tablets. And so, we're not just all mobile or mobile by default. Obviously, all of our strategy for video is very mobile-centric, but there's just, the ceiling is just higher for mobile. There's a diminishing return for usage for desktop, but during Hurricane Matthew, it was almost a 50-50 split A lot of people from outside the U.S. Who don't have mobile connectivity or proliferated mobile connectivity watched all of our coverage on the desktop. That's probably the biggest pattern that we've seen.
I think holistically, when you look at the relationship between mobile and desktop, on average, we're about 55, 60 mobile compared to desktop. Now that fluctuates during the month and everything from how many home games we have in a given month to if the team's actually in season. But overall, that's what we're looking like from a visit standpoint. Now, when you break it down into types of content, especially when you look at mobile versus traditional and linear content, it's not even a comparison because the amount of content we have on mobile doesn't even compare to what is available on linear. Linear is pretty much the game, right? And a little bit of a highlight show before, a little bit afterwards. And this is happening across the marketplace, and it's why ESPN's struggling. In addition, obviously, to high carriage fees, the idea of a highlight show isn't really relevant anymore because people are getting highlights on their phone the second after the play happens. So, because of that consumption, that's why we, both as the Braves, but also from an industry standpoint with Major League Baseball Advanced Media, continue to invest in mobile because that's where the eyeballs are and that's where the content is.
Steve?
Yeah, so because we're going to enterprises, it differs obviously depending on customer base and what they're trying to do. But so if you focus on the major area, one of the major areas we deal with is learning. I always find it interesting that the customers tell us, oh, we're struggling how to connect with our millennial workforce and things like that. By 2020, half the workforce will be millennial, so it's like a new thing, right? But, I mean, you told us a little earlier, right? So exactly. But the strong preference, obviously, millennials, and now we have Generation Z coming on, is that they get, content on whatever device they want, and they want mobile. So in the learning space, the market for learning systems is growing at 20% a year, and we hit about $11 billion in market in 2020. The market for mobile learning is growing at 35% every year, and at 2020 we'll hit $37 billion, right? So, and of course that's, you take things like Lynda and tons of things going on in that space where people can consume on their own outside of their workplace. So, but in raw numbers, somewhere between 70-30 in some organizations, 70 being big web, and in others 50-50, depending on the composition of their audience. If they tend to be younger, you can have much higher mobile utilization. But the big trend in enterprise is definitely to go make sure things work on the mobile devices.